In the meantime, let's go back to CMS and Superintendent Crystal Hill. She actually talked to our Siobhan Riley last night on where's the money, because South Carolina teachers, data shows that South Carolina teachers are making more than North Carolina teachers, and a meeting was held between CMS leaders, including Superintendent Hill, as well as parents last night. She spoke to Ms. Riley last night here on WCNC Charlotte. Let's get that interview now on WCNC Plus.
I don't know the exact numbers, but most recently the governor of South Carolina came out with some really impressive numbers in terms of what their goals were long term, and they've already exceeded those goals, and they're outpacing North Carolina in terms of teacher pay.
As the superintendent in a very large district, how does that make you feel when you hear that? What comes to your mind?
Well, it's very concerning. I love the great state of North Carolina. Absolutely love it. And I equally love education. And so I believe that education is one of the greatest professions. And we don't come into education to make a lot of money, but teachers do deserve to make a livable wage. So it's really discouraging when we're so close to the border. It's not unusual for us to lose teachers to South Carolina simply because the pay is higher.
And you mentioned kind of how the pay works. Can you discuss that as well?
Yes. So every teacher in North Carolina receives a base state salary. So it doesn't matter if you're in Wake County, Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, Union County, there's a state base. Then the state also pays a state supplement, and they pay that supplement to every teacher in 111 districts. There's a total of 115, pay them to 111 districts except for Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools, Wake County, Guilford County, and Durham. And the reason why those counties do not receive the state supplement is because the ability to pay, meaning the tax base in those counties is higher and can generate additional local funds. The interesting thing about that, though, is that state funds are used to pay the state supplement. So in essence, state tax dollars are used from all 115 districts, but only applied to 111.
How are teachers supposed to feel about that? That can be unsettling for teachers.
Well, unfortunately, I don't think many teachers actually know about it. So I've really taken the opportunity to talk a little bit more about this, specifically during this budget season. I believe that our funding partners in Raleigh are interested in education and they do want to do the right thing, but I just think that this is a great opportunity. While they may not be able to do a large impact for all teachers across the state, I think they certainly could make efforts to fund a state supplement for those 4 districts.
What steps need to be taken to address this issue?
It would be wonderful if all citizens that are in those 4 counties, but Mecklenburg County specifically, just to reach out to their lawmakers and, I think number 1, be educated on how teachers are paid, but then number 2, just advocate on behalf of teachers. Public education is good for everyone. So I just want to be really clear that this is not about where you as a parent choose to send your child. I'm a huge proponent, I'm a mom, and I believe that every parent has the right to make a choice about where their child goes to school. So this isn't about private school versus public. It's not about that. But economic mobility, the vast majority of students will always be educated in public schools, and it's really important to have a really strong public school system, and the way that you do that is to have an incredible teacher base.
And the last question I'll ask you about that, you mentioned 10 years teachers making the same salary. That's a long time.
It is. So teachers get paid on a step. So for every year of experience, they kind of get a step, as you would expect them to. So from years 0 all the way to 15, they get an incremental step. Then from 15 to 25, it basically plateaus. There's a little bit of little humps, but not much. So for 10 years, essentially, teachers are paid the same base state salary. Now, the state does typically do a 3% overall increase, but that means that teachers from 0 to 15 are getting an incremental bump, but then you're basically flat. And that simply should not happen to anyone, but should not happen to our teachers.
Are there any other steps, I know you mentioned call your lawmakers, any other steps that the district can take, school board members can take?
Yes, I do believe that one thing that I love about Mecklenburg County is everyone wants to lean in. There is a huge interest in education, and I think people really want to see our students do well. So I think it's really important that we all come together and advocate on behalf of our teachers with one voice. And I think we're well poised to do that here in our county.
Any final thoughts about that topic?
No.
And you mentioned school safety. Is there anything you can tell us about that there? What are they doing in the rooms and talking about?
Sure. So we have safety committees. And so they're just talking about all of the things that are currently in place in terms of safety, and then things that we're constantly looking at. So we're always focused on continuous improvement. So we have opportunities where we go in, we're checking our schools, doing what they're supposed to do in terms of safety procedures. We do mock drills, different things that that we keep an eye on, and then also we talk to our students. How do you feel? Where are some trouble spots? What are some things that we need to do differently? So our safety director, we've never had a safety director before. We now have one, but he is doing a session with some of our parents and just floating some ideas out there to get their feedback about changes that they would like to see immediately, and then changes they'd like to see happen the next school year.
Okay. Anything else? Any final thoughts?
We have amazing parents, and just so pleased that we're able to have such a large group of interested parents, engaged parents that are here to help us get better.
You're watching live Impact News on WCNC Plus, and that was Superintendent for CMS School District Crystal Hill talking about how teachers in North Carolina are getting paid after data revealing that South Carolina teachers are getting paid more.